Hey, Problem Stat kids. So I thought I'd go ahead and just create a bit of more resources for you guys. You guys have your calculators, or you should have your calculators, and so I'm going to just walk you through some steps in order to find your correlation and your scatter plot on your calculator. And then I'll do the same thing with Excel, which is what I have been using and what I gave you to sort of use, but you have the ability to do everything on your calculator. So the first thing we have to do is we have to go into our stat, and we're going to enter in our information into our list. So I'm going to press 1, I'm going to go over here, and I'm just going to enter in some values. Let's say I have 43, 48, 56, 61, 67, and 70 as my first bit of information. And then over here in list number 2, I'm going to have the values 128, 120, 135, 143, 141, and finally 152. All right, so after I sort of enter in my values, I'm going to make sure that the window values are appropriate for my information because I'm about to graph it. And so I'm just going to go into my window and I'm just going to adjust it a little bit. Right now it's set up to do sort of like algebraic stuff, so I'm just gonna focus on the positive side of things. So I'm gonna say let's have a minimum of 30. That's just from my information. My lowest number was 43, so I'm just making it 30 just to make sure I'm doing 10 below. And then my maximum for my x values was 70, so if I go 10 above that, that would be 80. And I think I'll go by tens that's the XSCL, that means an X scale, or the number that you're going by. So I'm going to just set that equal to 10. And now for my my Y values, well, I had a 120 as my lowest value, so if I go 10 below that, that's 110. My maximum was 152, so that's pretty close to 150, so I'll just go up to 160 for my maximum. And again, I'm going to go by tens, oops, not hundreds, tens on this this thing. So this is in my window, and you get to your window by clicking your, it's right next to the Y equals button. Hold on, I'm trying to show you. There you go. All right, so this is the button that I pressed to get into here. So I've adjusted everything. Again, I adjusted everything based on the numbers I plugged into my list 1 and my list 2. And now that I'm done with that, I can go ahead and I can plot this. So if you notice at the very top above Y equals, you have this blue stat plot. And so I'm going to press second Y equals, and that gets me into this page. And for plot number 1, I need to make sure that the Y values are turned off, so hold on. All right, so in order to turn off any unnecessary things, I'm going to go into plot number 1 by pressing 1. And so I can actually see that I've already gotten some of my extra information turned off because it's already highlighted off. So I am going to make sure that it is a scatter plot, and so you can sort of see, here's your bar graph, here's your box and whisker plot. This is just like a line graph. This is going to be our scatter plot. I'm using my list 1 and list 2, and I am going to go ahead and try to graph this. So now that I have everything fixed, I'm going to go into I'm just going to click on graph, which is right up here at the top. So I'm going to click on graph, and it should give me my picture. And if it doesn't, then I'm just going to go back and change it from my Y values from off onto on. So it doesn't really look like it's giving me anything, so I'm going to click second Y equals, go back into this. Now I'm going to turn it on. All right, so it did turn on this time. Okay. Sometimes calculators do weird stuff, so, it happens. All right, so I have this. I have a couple of scatter plots. Yours might be slightly different. It depends on the settings of the calculator. Sometimes the settings that I have for my calculator interfere with some of the information that I have. So also it could be that I enter in some numbers incorrectly, but you should have a total of let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points, and I only see 4, so that means 2 of them are somewhere, but we'll figure that out later. And that is how you can sort of graph your scatter plot pretty quickly, and you can see quickly, is this following a linear trend? Is it a curvilinear trend? Is there no relationship? So the calculator can quickly tell you that piece of information. All right, so I went back and I actually double-checked my numbers, and I typed in 2 wrong numbers, and so I just fixed that really quickly, and now I have all 6 points. All right, so this is to quickly put our information onto a scatter plot and make sure that it follows a trend. The calculator can also find your regression line. So once you're done with this, you can go and you can press Stat, and you can go over to Calculate. And, oh, I accidentally pressed Calculate twice, so we're going to go over, all right? And we are going to press 8, okay? If you notice, 8 says lin reg a plus bx. That stands for linear regression line, and that is our formula, a plus bx. All right, so now that I have that, I'm going to go ahead and press Enter, and it's going to ask me if I want to use my information from list 1 and list 2. It is that is where all my information is, so I'm just going to go ahead and press Calculate, and it gives me my A value. A value should be 81.048. Remember, you round to 3 decimal places, and then our B value should be 0.964. All right. Now, there are some extra things that you can do. If you want to program your calculator to do this, I strongly recommend it, but you can actually program it to give you what your R is, or what your correlation coefficient is. So that would require us to do a couple of things in order to do that. So I'm just going to walk you through it. You are going to press second, and then you are going to press 0. Down here at the bottom, it says catalog, and so you have all these pieces, and we're going to go down to diagnostic on. So we're just going to scroll down until we get to diagnostics on. So keep going, diagnostics, here we go. All right, so we have diagnostic off and diagnostic on. We're going to go ahead and have our cursor next to diagnostic on and press Enter. All right, it's on our home screen, and so we're going to press Enter one more time, and this actually turns it on. Okay, so now when we go back into our stat, okay, stat, we're going to go down to 8 for our linear regression. All right, and we are going to calculate all of this again, and now it includes my correlation coefficient R, which is 0.896. Actually, if we round it, it would be 0.897. All right, so this is how you can find your correlation coefficient from your calculator, and how you can also find your linear regression line, which should hopefully make your life a whole lot easier. Let's say you want to put the regression line on the scatter plot. You know, some people are visual, and they want to make sure that their regression line is accurate, and it does, in fact, match the data that we've done. Well, then you're going to go back to y equals, and you're going to clear out anything that's there. Like, I have some stuff from algebra, so, you know. And you are going to press, you're going to go into stat. You can go over. Oh, wait, hold on. Sorry, not statistics. We're going to press various, VAR right here. Okay, now that we have this, we're going to press 5, or we can scroll down until we get to 5, which is statistics. I'm going to press equal. All right, I'm going to go over to the EQ, which is where my equation is. And if you see, the first option is REG. That stands for regression equation. So I'm going to press 1. All right, and it's going to throw the line onto my y equals screen. Okay, and now if I want to see it, I'm going to press graph again. And now it brings up my scatter plot that I had before, and it puts my regression equation on my scatter plot. So it graphs the line for me. All right, so this is hopefully a helpful video to sort of help you. So the last thing I want to show you on the calculator is sort of how to get some further information that's going to make your life, hopefully it'll make it easier. But this can actually replace your process of, determining if we're going to keep or reject our claim. And so what you can do to get sort of all your information is go over to Stat, and we're going to go over toward Tests. And if we keep scrolling down on tests, eventually we're going to find a linear regression t-test, which is what we've been doing. We've been doing a linear regression t-test. And so notice how there are linear regression t-intervals. There are some other tests we're going to do later, but we're going to do a linear regression t-test this time. And I know we're sort of doing a Pearson test mostly, but we did do some t-tests in section 1. So we're going to press enter, and it brings us to this screen. So make sure that your list 1 is in X, and your L2 or your list 2 is in your Y. Make sure your frequency is 1, and since for this one we are always, at least in chapter 10-2, we're always going to have it does not equals, so that is highlighted, and then we are going to calculate. So now we can see, all right, we have a lot of information. It tells us this is all about our linear regression t-test. It actually tells us our test value right here, 4.051. So our test value is right here. It also tells us our p-value. So we haven't really worked a lot with p-value, but it is there. It tells us our degrees of freedom. Remember, degrees of freedom is now by subtracting 2, so that's why it is 4. Again, it gives us our A, it gives us our B. If we scroll down, we get our standard deviation, and we have our correlation coefficient and our R squared. All right, so all of the pieces are right there. Just from information we know about the p-value, because we did do a little bit of that before I knew that you guys were getting really confused, and so we can sort of see that our p-value is 0.02 if we wanted to think about it that way. And typically we are using alpha is 0.05, and so since our p-value is smaller than our alpha, we would end up rejecting the null hypothesis. All right, so this can hopefully help you figure out your regression line easily, and I hope it was helpful. I'm now going to show you how to do some of this on Excel. So I went ahead and did some stuff on Excel to sort of help us in case you didn't have a calculator, or maybe you're having difficulties with the calculator, or you wanted an Excel spreadsheet where you could just type in the numbers like I did before and everything just pops up for you and you don't have to go through all the pressing of buttons on the calculators. Unfortunately, because I'm at Trinity, the firewall settings of Trinity don't allow us to make certain modifications on our computers, and so I actually have some limitations. I cannot show you how to do this. I can tell you, and I'll get as far as I possibly can, but unfortunately I cannot get through the entire thing, so I will link another video that'll sort of finish it up for me. But first things first, I have entered in the same numbers I had before into our columns here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go over to Insert. And if you look up here, you can see all these charts, and I'm going to click on a scatter plot. Or actually, Control Z. I'm going to highlight my information first, and then I'm going to go to Insert and click on a scatter plot. So now we see this. We can change the title if we want. We can say this is awesome scatter plot, whatever. We can add some titles for the x-axis. We can add a title for the y-axis. You can figure that out on your own. You can change the colors however you'd like. I sort of like this one and this one particularly, but we'll go with this one this time. We can move it around, put it closer to our information. The other thing that we can do is we can figure out our correlation coefficient. Okay, so I'm just going to write correlation coefficient, and I'm going to put my correlation coefficient under my word, and I guess I'll bold it so it's nice and obvious for me. So how you do that is there is this little button right here at the very top, it is our insert function button. So Excel is really, really nice. A lot of businesses use it. It's a very useful product that you guys should work with as much as possible, just because it will make your skills marketable once you are looking for jobs and stuff. So I'm going to click on insert, and I'm looking for my correlation coefficient. So I'm just going to type in correlation, and I'm going to press enter, and it actually brings me some functions that could possibly work. So I can look at this, and this one gives me the square of the Pearson product. Okay, so Pearson is that table we talked about. This one just gives me my straight up Pearson score, and then this one actually gives me my correlation coefficient between two data sets. So I'm going to press OK, and array 1, it just means that it is our first set of information, or list 1. So I just clicked and dragged, and then I'm going to go to array 2 or list 2, so I need all these numbers, and then I'm going to press OK. And so here it is. Here is my correlation coefficient. Because we need to make sure that we are rounding to 3 decimals, I'm going to actually click on this button right here, and it is going to allow me to move my decimals. So it rounds for me automatically. I don't even have to think about it. It's just boom, done for me. All right, so here's where things go awry for us. And please make sure when you're doing this on Excel, if you're doing it on Excel, you might not, but if you're going to do it on Excel, please make sure that you are not online. You're not doing like the Microsoft 365 online. You have it open at the bottom here of as an actual program, an application. So what you have to do, if you don't have it already, you go to data and you look for data analysis. Now, as you can tell, I don't have data analysis. So if you want to add it on, you have to go to file, and at the very, very bottom, there's this options button. So we're going to click on options. And again, I cannot do it because of the firewalls here at Trinity, but eventually one day, I hope you guys don't have it, so you can do it yourself. You're going to go to add-ons right here. Oops, wrong way. Add-ons or add-ins. And we are going to open this up. Please make sure that down at the manage, it says Excel add-ins. If you have you can change it and stuff, but we need it to say Excel. And then from here, you're going to click on this analysis tool pack, and you're going to go ahead and you're going to press OK. Now again, it's not going to work for me because I am on a restricted sort of internet and downloading rules, so I can't actually do it. But I will link a video to sort of walk you through what you would have to do next, and hopefully that will help you. If you have any questions, please make sure you comment to me, or you ask, email me or whatever, and make sure you come to help class if you are struggling, which will be on Wednesday at noon this week. All right, so hopefully that was helpful, and have a great day.